Welcome to Tuesday to Q&A Friday. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I can't get my sheet to move. There we go. Welcome. Today is Friday, and it's all about your questions. So fire away your questions in the chat, and I'll do some answering of those and do some shout outs as well. And this is the voiceover huddle, where we every weekday jump on here and talk voiceover and try to help you get to your goal, which is probably and most likely full-time voiceover talent. And yeah, that's what we're all about here, is helping grow your business. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you would, please. We appreciate it. And before we get into the questions, if you haven't signed up yet for Amy's class on pay to play, the 3-step pay to play system from Amy Weiss, it is this Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It's about an hour and a half. She's going to blow our minds and melt our faces on all the info we need to know about working on pay to plays. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm hoping that she will change my mind regarding pay to plays, because it's a bit of a mystery for a lot of people. And so I'm hoping to add that channel back to my revenue stream. So looking forward to that. And by the way, if you are in the blueprint, don't forget to use your coupon code to get a little discount off of that. Okay, let's get into the questions right away, shall we? There's Ron first in this morning from Grand Haven, and Sean from Longview. There's Nancy from Yankton, South Dakota. Mark says, happy Friday from Montreal. There's John from Denver. Jason says, time for my favorite time of this weekday. Favorite time of the weekday. Hello from Kearney, Nebraska. Lynette says, happy Friday from Lynette in Sparks, Nevada. There's M.E. Dahl from North Phoenix. Wayne from Port Orchard, Washington. There's Andrew from Latvia. There's Callie from Pasco, Washington. And Theo, happy Friday to all from sunny downtown Chicago. Police Commander Z3 from Atlanta. There's Sarah from Destin. And Nephi from Knoxville. Chris from DC. And there's Mary Winkle from New Jersey. All right, guys, do we have no questions this morning? That can't be true. Surely we've got questions. There's John from San Diego. And by the way, to all of you who have already bought my book, I appreciate it and given me good feedback on it. Yes, I do appreciate that. Lots of people are enjoying this. As I've said before, this is the book that I wish I had when I started back into the business, and it's pretty special. So thank you very much for those of you who have given me such good feedback on that. LaDonna says, hi all from St. Louis. Resting my voice and sipping on thyme lemon plus honey plus hot water. Nice. Got to rest those pipes. I'll tell you what, while we're waiting on some more questions, I'm going to tell you guys something. I was going to save this for a topic for another day, but I thought since we haven't really gotten any questions popping in, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. And that is the fact that yesterday I had my first 0 day in a while. I've had them a while back, but I had a $0 day yesterday. So that means I did not make 1 penny in voiceover. Oh no, whatever shall I do? Well, the reason why I mention this is because I want to let you guys know that that does happen. It happens. This thing goes in cycles. The previous day, I made like $1,000. So you gotta think of the long game. This is something that my wife finally beat into my head for a while there. If I would have a slow day, I would completely freak out and think, "Oh my gosh, my business is done." Start looking for a job, a full-time real job, whatever you wanna call it, a 9 to 5 job. And, it's just worrying for nothing. If you've done all the right things and are continuing to do all the right things, and you have a down day, just push through it, move on to the next one, and just keep going. I can't stress that enough. I used to get so worried when I would have a day like that, but now I know that I'm doing the right things. I've got plenty of repeat clients. It just so happens that maybe just the stars aligned that day and nobody needed VO that day. But guess what? Got up this morning, got work in the inbox. So don't fret none. When you have a 0 day or a low day, it's totally doable. Just keep moving past it. Don't freak out as long as you're doing the right things to grow your business and you've got those things in place. So don't freak out. It happens. Chris says restarting after taking a year off after a new job in DC. What is new in our world over the past year? Oh, wow. I don't know that there's anything really new. Hmm, that's a pretty good question. I really don't know. I mean, I guess the only thing that I can think of that's new is that people are still freaking out about AI taking over everybody's job, which is not the case. I did a topic on that a few weeks ago, if you wanna go back and watch that, but, people are still kind of all, freaking out about that, and it's just not true. Sure, it's taken some of the lower end jobs, the good enough jobs that, they don't need any human emotion, they just need words out loud. Um, but other than that, I can't really think of anything new, just keeping on. Jason says, "Sorry, I don't often know what to ask. I'm in the middle of a bunch of projects and I'm just learning to manage my time for everything." Yeah, that's a good skill, by the way. And it's a good problem to have. If you've got so much work that you're having to worry about, you know, time management to get it all done, hey, that's good, right? So that's nothing to worry about. Keep doing what you're doing because it sounds like it's working. Um, and then once you do fill your day, then you can start to trim the fat. So you start going in and culling the lower end clients that are paying you the least amount so you can make room for higher paying clients. And you do that systematically, and you'll start to just, your revenue will start to just creep up. Kathleen says, "Hi from Evanston, Wyoming. Do you have any tips for traveling while working on VO?" Yes, I do. I've done this quite a bit. First of all, what you should do or could do is create kind of a travel rig, people call it, where you have, a whole separate set of equipment that you take on the road with you. And so you don't have to kind of dismantle your existing setup. But that's okay if you do need to do that. That's fine. Um, I've recorded in hotel rooms, in Airbnbs. In fact, I talk about an Airbnb setup in this book that I did, and there's even a picture of it up in Flagstaff when my wife and I went up for a little mini vacation to get out of the heat in Phoenix. And I took a picture of this closet that I converted into a booth for the week. But anyway, um, what I have done, or what I have found works well in a pinch, is get an ironing board, open up the ironing board, put it up on top of a desk, and then throw a blanket or 2 or 6 on top of it to dampen your sound, and you'd be surprised how good that sounds, especially, in a pinch. So, that's what I would say, but also, when you're traveling, depending on what you're traveling for, if you're on vacation, like a true vacation, leave your equipment at home and just tell everybody that you're gonna be out for the week or however long you're gonna be gone. That also works as a marketing touch. So if you send out an email blast to all your current clients, say, "Hey, I'm gonna be out from this date to this date," maybe they haven't worked for you in a year or more. it's still a marketing touch because you're telling them, "Hey, I'm still working. I'm still available for you, except for this week." And, you're still in business. So it keeps you on the radar. So I would definitely do that if you're gonna be doing any kind of traveling and gonna be out of the studio. Send that email out. But if you are gonna plan on working while you're on vacation or while you're out, then those makeshift blanket forts and stuff like that totally work. Tim says, "Hello from Altoona." Tim says, "Down day is a marketing day." Yes, absolutely, and that's what I did. That's what I did yesterday. I switched into marketing mode. I'm still working on my taxes for the year, so I kinda made sure all my expenses were, set and everything was good there. I just did a lot of that kinda stuff, admin work. Don't just go out to the pool if you're not getting work, because you never know when something could come in. So I mean, I was in here the whole day yesterday, even though I wasn't actually recording. Um, I was doing admin work, I was doing some marketing stuff, social media stuff, all that. So, still stayed busy. Mary says, "How do you deal with difficult clients if they expect revision after revision and are just super picky?" Ugh. So my philosophy with revisions is I'll allow a couple of rounds of revisions. Just, as long as they're minimal, especially if they're their fault or, they've added something. If it was my fault, if I mispronounced something or they need a different tone or whatever, then I'll do that until they're happy. But if they're constantly changing things and are really picky about stuff, first of all, set the expectation up front that about how many that you're going to include in the rate. Set that expectation up front. That way they know that they shouldn't be super picky, you know, over the course of the project. Um, that rarely happens to me that they're just continually adding and changing and adding and changing. But then at that point, you just have to put your foot down and say, "Look, I've done however many we talked about at the beginning. Going forward, we're gonna need to put a charge on these." And that shuts them up pretty quick. Um, so that's really the only way that I deal with it. Luckily, that doesn't happen very often. And I'll tell you the craziest thing here, the pickiest customers are usually the lowest paying customers. I don't know why that is, but it seems like the clients who are trying to nickel and dime you to death are the ones who have the most or the neediest, the pickiest. I've done jobs for $3,000 and you just record once, send it, and they pay you, which is great. But sometimes those little smaller jobs, the people can be super picky. You just have to deal with it. But like I said, if you set that expectation up front that however many are included, then hopefully that will tamp down some of their pickiness over the course of the job. Okay. Feeling defeated here. Voiceover young. Feeling defeated here. Working on moving forward anyway. Very little determination. Well, I hate to hear that because that is there's nothing worse than being defeated and still trying to push through it. Um, Partner up with someone who is successful and find out, what it is working for them or what maybe not working for you. Um, maybe it's your demos, maybe it's your email, maybe it's your whole approach to your marketing strategy. It's got to be something because if there are other people out there winning at it, you should be too, or you can be too, as long as you're doing the right things. So get with someone who can kind of give you kind of an audit on what your process should be. And I'm happy to do that if you want to shoot me an email, mike@mikehathcote.com. Oh, Rich says, "Mike, the new book and the extras are excellent. Thank you for all your hard work." Well, thank you. Thank you. That means a lot, Rich. I appreciate it. Yeah, and the extras he's talking about is we're doing this bundle where you can get the audiobook, the digital download, and then 4 free gifts um, for 9.95, I believe. And those gifts, by the way, are the 5 biggest mistakes that voiceover artists make. Um, a beginner booth on a budget, 4 tips for a more conversational read, because remember, conversational is king right now. And then my actual steps for my marketing, my email marketing. And so those are all included in that bundle for 9.95. So there's a link below if you want to check that out. But thank you for the kind words, Rich. Jolie says, love the support of knowing there's ups and downs for all of us, especially those we aspire to emulate. Well, thank you. The beautiful robins are back in Minnesota. That must mean it's warming up. Tracy says, good morning from Rochester, Minnesota. Is there a best time of year to start VO? Summer. I just grabbed one question off my list. There's really, that's a good question. I've never had that one before. The best time to start VO. Um, Actually, I don't think there would be. I think the best time to start is right now. Where whatever time of year it is, start right now. There are definitely some lulls in VO, like, especially in the summer. Summer is a little bit of a lower, you do get a little bit of a dip, and then, of course, you get a really, really big dip towards the end of the year. So December is usually very slow, especially the last 2 weeks of December, very slow. That's typically when I take a lot of my time off because I know I'm not gonna be inundated with work during that time, so I'll take that time off. Plus, it's holidays, so it kinda works. Um, but as far as the best time to start VO, I honestly couldn't tell you other than right now. I don't think there's actually a better time than others to start. Voice 156, greetings from Holland. If asked for a raw audition, how raw would you leave it? 100%. If they ask for a raw audition, raw means completely untreated, unprocessed, warts and all. Because what they probably want there is they wanna hear your booth without any kind of plugins or processing to remove noise floor and all that kind of stuff. They wanna hear what your booth sounds like completely untreated. So, that's why they do that usually, because well, 2 reasons. Either that, number 1, a lot of times, rosters or agencies will ask for a raw audition because they wanna hear your space. The second reason is because they will probably be doing all that themselves. They have their own process for they want everything to sound equal or whatever, so they have their own process. So if you put on a bunch of your own processing and then send it to them, it may not sound like some of their other stuff. So when they want you to send something raw, it means that they want to apply the same effects to yours as well as others so that everything sounds the same because they have their own kind of proprietary process. That's a good question. Disclint says, "What kind of training did you do to get rid of your Southern accent?" Ooh, good question. First of all, there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to use or how to lose any kind of accent. I also worked with a, uh, a dialect coach and had several sessions with her. Plus, not living in the South anymore helped a lot because, when you're kind of immersed in it, it's harder to shake it off. And so, not living there, yes, that helped a lot. But yeah, working with a dialect coach, check it out. Um, the one that I worked with is retired now because this was years and years and years ago. But yeah, look it up, dialect coach. And then, like I said, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that you can check out too. Voice 156 says, how about offering a live session for clients that need more revisions if they agree after that? That is, yeah, that's a good one. I tell you, I've mentioned this before, but I wish every session was a directed session just because there's no guesswork. You know, they tell you if you made a mistake, they tell you if they want something different right there in real time. You get it right, they say good, you hang up and you're done. No back and forth. So yeah, a lot of people get a little weirded out when it comes to directed sessions. I love them because I'm a big fan of being efficient. And if they can be right there directing you and get it done the first time, love it. Andrew says, I sent in a DIY demo. Hopefully you'll have time to check it. Great. I'll check it out. Wayne says, the problem lowballers who are picky have probably already been told to hit the road by many other voice actors. Yeah, probably. And they're just, trying to find someone who's willing to take scraps. Joseph says, name a sound engineer. Well, we have two within the blueprint. The one that I typically refer people to is Alex DeWeese. That is his full-time job. He is a full-time audio engineer, and he teaches our Tuesday night class on tech. But if you want to send him an email, you can email him at alex@billdeweese.com. Alex@billdeweese.com. He's obviously Bill's son, and so he will be happy to diagnose your issues, and he can create effects racks for you and all that. So reach out to Alex. Becky says 9.95, a value at twice the price. Yep. Thanks. Bruce says, hello, everyone from Port Richey, Florida. Voiceover by Forever Young says, regarding a raw audition, if your interface does some effects, it's no longer raw, correct? Yep. I use a revelator, sorry. What is that? IO or 1044, 1044. Is it no longer raw? Yeah, if you have an interface that does corrections on the input, in other words, it's got built-in filters and stuff that records automatically, then yeah, that's no longer raw. A lot of the Apollos do that as well, where you can set the effects to where you don't have to do anything after the fact. It just does it as you're recording, so you're not applying any effects afterwards. I personally don't like that because I wanna have control, 100% control over what I send to the client, because sometimes they want something different, like a raw audition or a raw file for a regular job, and so you have to go in and turn all that stuff off before you record, which I'm not a big fan of. So I just record raw and then apply my effects rack afterwards to whatever specs I need to send to. There's Ethan from Toronto, Ontario. Andrew says, congrats on the beginning of spring. Thanks. So it's been spring here for a while, or at least it's felt like it in Phoenix. I mean, we're already looking at mid 90s next week. So, yep, it's a coming. The summer times here are the cover charge for living here the rest of the year. We have about 6 months of totally perfect weather, sunny, 70. And then, of course, when summertime comes, watch out. There's Robert from Tulsa. All right. We'll get a little bit more time if you guys have any questions. But other than that, like I said, I do have some work to do. So I'm going to get to it. So let me just say last call for questions before I get back into the swing of things. And while we're waiting on that, I'm going to plug Mary's course again. There are a few spots left for that. It was probably one of the quickest selling webinars that we've had. And I thought my my business one last month was fast. This one has gone so much faster because pay to plays are so mysterious for a lot of people, myself included. So I cannot wait for that course. All right. Well, I guess we got no more questions. So I will bid you all adieu and have a great weekend. And I'll see you back here on Monday. I was actually planning on talking Monday about my 0 day, but I figured I'd go ahead and drop it on you today. Carpe the weekend. Y'all be cool from Boomer McBoom. All right, guys. I'm out. We'll talk to you soon. Break a lip. See ya.